Melphira was the daughter of a high-ranking noble, but despite her status, everyone looked down on her. People avoided her with disgust, calling her unfit to be a noble, all because of her unusual hobby. She loved cooking and eating monster meat. However, her fate changed one day when she met a man named Aristide, who was feared throughout the land by his infamous title, the Blood-Mad Duke. The anime begins with Melphira being pressured by her stepmother to find a fiancé within the year, otherwise she will be sent to a convent. Determined to avoid that fate, Melphira attends the royal banquet in hopes of finding a suitable partner. However, because of her poor reputation, she is ignored by the nobles. Realizing this, she turns instead to the knights area, believing that among them, she may have a better chance of finding someone who will accept her. Just then, a monster suddenly appeared and began attacking the area. Panic spread as everyone screamed and fled for their lives. Melphira also tried to escape, but she noticed an elderly couple who had fallen to the ground. Without hesitation, she ran to help them. Unfortunately, the monster drew closer, forcing Melphira to make a desperate choice. She tried to lure the creature away to protect the couple. Knowing she couldn't outrun it, she prepared herself for death, thinking that at least the two would be safe. But just as the monster was about to strike, a man appeared out of nowhere and cut the beast down with a single slash, leaving everyone stunned. When they looked closer, they realized who he was. The infamous Blood-Mad Duke, Aristide, a man so terrifying that no one dared to go near him. Yet to Melphira, he looked strangely beautiful. After thanking him for saving her, she noticed the monster's blood splattered on his face and quickly warned him. She explained that monsters have a strong tendency to go mad, and their blood is often corrupted by magical toxin. The blood of a living beast is harmless, but once it's tainted with magic, it can cause fever or intense stomach pain if swallowed. This surprised Aristide, making him wonder how she knew so much about monsters, and then took out a vial of purified water and handed it to Melphira, telling her to drink it, just in case any magic toxins had entered her system. Even though he doubted she had ingested any, Aristide then glanced at the blood on Melphira's dress and told her to follow him, saying she could borrow some of his clothes to change into. However, Melphira politely declined, saying it was fine. This confused him, and he asked if the beast's blood didn't bother her. But Melphira simply smiled and said that it didn't bother her at all, as it was nothing compared to when she had butchered a beast the previous week. Her answer shocked him. Curious, he asked for her name, and she introduced herself as Melphira, the daughter of Count Marcalraid. Aristide then chuckled and remarked that it was no wonder she knew so much about monsters, revealing that he actually had heard of her before, the girl who eats monsters, known as the voracious villainess, to which Melphira quickly corrected him, explaining that it wasn't the monsters she was interested in, it was the food. Amused, Aristide asked if the beast from earlier looked edible to her. She admitted that it did, and even found herself wondering how she could prepare it to make it taste good. When she noticed Aristide's surprised expression, she suddenly realized what she had just said, and then gave an awkward smile to ease the tension. But little did she know, Aristide had actually blushed, finding her awkward smile surprisingly cute. Without saying a word, he gently took her hand and led her away, leaving Melphira wondering why he wasn't afraid of her like everyone else. After a short walk, Aristide suddenly stopped and asked if the beast's meat was really good, and what it tasted like. Melphira hesitated, remembering how people usually reacted with disgust whenever she talked about it. She wondered if Aristide would be the same. Still, she decided to answer honestly. She explained that the beast's meat had a texture similar to beef and could be quite delicious, as long as the creature hadn't gone mad, since corrupted magic would make its flesh unsafe to eat. To her surprise, Aristide looked intrigued instead of disgusted. His unexpected reaction touched her, and for the first time, she felt genuinely happy that someone was interested. Smiling, she went on to explain how to make monster meat safe to eat. The magic must first be removed from the body during the bleeding process, which requires special tools and purification spells. Fascinated, Aristide told her he wanted to try it sometime, and asked if she would prepare some. Hearing that, Melphira's eyes lit up with joy, as she had never met anyone quite like him before. Later, Aristide took Melphira to his camp, where he introduced her to his butler, a man named Kaus, and asked him to bring her a change of clothes. While she waited, Aristide prepared some water for her to wash her face and hands. Melphira tried to refuse, saying he didn't need to go through the trouble, but Aristide simply said it was fine, then began taking off his own clothes right in front of her, leaving her completely shocked by his well-built physique. She eventually joined him, and the two washed their hands together. As they talked, Melfira admitted that she wanted to become strong like him, so she could defeat a monster with a single strike too. Aristide smiled gently and told her not to worry so much, that she should leave the fighting to him instead. He then asked if there was anything she wanted to try, promising that he would hunt it down for her. His words made her heart flutter, and with a bright smile, she began listing all the creatures she wished she could taste. Aristide chuckled, amused by her enthusiasm, and together they playfully helped wash each other's faces. Unfortunately, just as the atmosphere grew warm, Kaus suddenly entered the tent and sternly reminded Aristide that this was hardly an appropriate sight for the unmarried daughter of a count. After changing into her new clothes, Melfira was surprised when Aristide approached her, carrying the head of the monster he had slain earlier, and then presented it to her as a gift, leaving everyone in the camp stunned. The soldiers exchanged uneasy glances, wondering what their duke was thinking, giving something like that to a lady, not knowing that it was actually the perfect gift for Melfira. As Melfira was about to say goodbye, Aristide promised that the next time they met, he would bring her a gift, the beast's corpse. Melfira smiled and reminded him that this time she wanted him to capture it alive, saying that monster meat tastes best when the beast is still fresh. Her words made Aristide grin, accepting it with a quiet laugh, as if taking on a new challenge. Before she left, Melfira handed him a piece of jerky made from a scatspit, a beast native to the Marcharade territory. Aristide gladly accepted it and decided to try it right away, much to his butler Kaus's alarm. Kaus hurried to stop him, but Aristide ignored him and even made the poor man taste it too. To their surprise, both found it incredibly delicious, and seeing their reactions made Melfira's face light up with joy. On her way back, Melfira couldn't stop thinking about Aristide. He was far more polite and gentle than the terrifying man the rumors described. She wondered if he had been kind to her only out of curiosity, wanting to see what the rumored voracious villainess was really like. Yet, even so, she couldn't help but let her hopes rise a little, wishing that perhaps he liked her for who she truly was. A few days later, when Melfira arrived home, her father greeted her right away. Feeling a little down, she apologized, saying her search for a fiancé hadn't gone well. But to her surprise, her father looked uneasy rather than disappointed. With a tense voice, he told her not to worry about that, then revealed that he had just received a letter from the Duke of Galbraith, asking for her hand in marriage. Hearing this made Melfira freeze in disbelief, as she didn't know what to do. Meanwhile, at the camp, Aristide reported to His Highness that he had successfully eliminated all the monsters in the area, just as ordered. The prince nodded in approval, saying he always knew he could count on Aristide. Then, with a lighter tone, he told him not to be so formal, and to simply call him Brother Maxime, like he used to. This irritated Aristide, and he told him that there had to be a line between them. Apparently, they were brothers by blood, but 17 years ago, when Maxime was made crown prince, Aristide became his subject, and was later adopted by the Galbraith family. While they were talking, Maxime noticed something in Aristide's hand and asked what it was. Aristide brushed it off, saying it was nothing, but Maxime smiled knowingly and said he didn't need to hide it. He already knew everything about him, including the girl he met a few days ago, Melfira. Aristide was taken aback, wondering how Maxime knew that. Before he could respond, Maxime suddenly grabbed what Aristide was holding. It was a piece of jerky. Without hesitation, he took a bite and immediately remarked on how delicious it was. Aristide sighed and explained that it was scatspit jerky made by Melfira herself, then told Maxime not to tell anyone about it. Maxime agreed, but couldn't resist grinning as he asked teasingly whether Aristide planned to marry her or something, since it wasn't often he got along with someone so quickly. Aristide didn't answer, and simply walked away, though deep down, he knew Maxime wasn't entirely wrong. It wasn't every day that he connected with someone so easily. He then recalled the moment Melfira risked her life to protect the elderly couple. Her courage and beauty left a deep impression on him. Just then, Kaus arrived to report that everything was under control. It seemed the first beast was the only one that went mad. Still, Aristide thought it best to be cautious, so he had already asked His Highness to call off any further hunts for the time being. With a teasing grin, Kaus then asked if Lady Melfira would be joining them at future banquets as well. Aristide's expression immediately darkened. He realized Kaus must have been the one who told Maxime. Meanwhile, back at Melfira's estate, she was still in disbelief, convinced the Duke must have some ulterior motive behind his sudden proposal. Her father, equally distressed, struggled to think of a polite way to decline such an offer. After all, he didn't believe his daughter was worthy of a duke's hand. He then asked her what exactly had happened at the banquet. Melfira explained everything, but even after hearing her story, her father found it hard to believe that a single encounter could have prompted the duke to send such a letter. Later that night, as Melfira read the letter the duke had sent, she tried to figure out his true intentions. After thinking it over, she came to a completely wrong conclusion, that it must have been because of the monster meat. She convinced herself the duke just wanted someone who shared his strange taste for monster meat. Still, she wondered, did he really have to go this far? To propose to her just for that? Just then, the letter suddenly began to glow, revealing a line of hidden text. Shocked, Melfiera immediately showed it to her father. The message read that after she had left, Aristide found the evening unbearably dull and already missed her. He wrote that he would come to visit before the depths of winter and asked her to look forward to the 18th of the month of Sirius. Melfiera and her father both froze, their faces turning pale, because the 18th was tomorrow. Afterward, Melfiera went to her room and began talking to a picture of her late mother, telling her everything about the Duke and how they met. As she spoke, memories of the past came flooding back. It was then revealed that Melfiera had inherited her mother's research on monsters. Back when her mother was alive, she had devoted herself to improving the lives of the people who lived in this harsh, freezing land. To achieve that, she began studying monsters, hoping to find a way to make use of them. Now, Melfiera wanted to carry on that dream. She wanted the world to recognize her mother's research, and to do that, she would have to make monster meat so exceptionally delicious that everyone would accept it as ordinary food. The next morning, Melfiera's stepmother came to check on her, only to find her just getting out of bed. Not wanting to anger her, Melfiera quickly came up with an excuse, saying she had only been waiting for her stepmother's guidance before getting dressed. Thankfully, her stepmother seemed to buy it, and immediately ordered the maids to help Melfiera get ready. As they worked, her stepmother couldn't resist lecturing her. She scolded Melfiera for disgracing her noble status, saying that, while she had told her to find a fiancé, she never expected her to choose him. Her stepmother went on, saying that Aristide might be highborn, but he was nothing more than a bloodthirsty, violent duke, a madman drenched in blood. Hearing that made Melfiera's temper flare. She hated hearing someone speak so badly about him. But before she could say anything in his defense, a familiar voice echoed from outside. When she looked out the window, she saw none other than Aristide himself, arriving at the mansion with his knights, each riding their own dragon. Seeing Aristide made Melfiera happy, and she quickly told him to wait for her and have the dragons land in the pasture to the north. Aristide nodded and did as she said. As soon as he left, her stepmother sighed and told Melfiera to tell her father she was feeling unwell and couldn't meet the Duke right now. She complained about how rude it was for him to suddenly show up on a dragon of all things. That remark made Melfiera angry. She snapped back, saying she fully intended to accept the Duke's proposal with pleasure. This made her stepmother even more irritated. Later, when they met, Aristide apologized for arriving so soon, but Melfiera assured him it was perfectly fine. Just then, Kaus interrupted, grumbling about how the Duke simply couldn't wait and had insisted on seeing her immediately. Aristide looked embarrassed by his butler's words, then quickly turned to Melfiera and mentioned that he had brought her a gift, a golden-furred magical monster called the Royal Moodle. Melfiera's eyes then lit up with excitement, already eager to turn it into a dish. Apparently, this type of monster was highly valued for its luxurious fur, while its meat was always discarded. To Melfiera, that seemed like a terrible waste. She then turned to Aristide with a bright smile and thanked him warmly for the gift. Afterward, when her father arrived, he was shocked to see a monster. Melfiera quickly explained that it was actually a gift from the Duke, revealing that Aristide not only knew about her unusual hobby, but also appreciated her cooking. Her father was taken aback by this revelation, though deep down, he was happy for his daughter. Melfiera then asked if they could reopen the research facility. Her father agreed, thinking it would also make a good place to keep the dragons, and asked her to lead the way for them. On the way, Melfiera felt a surge of determination. She thought this was her chance, as she planned to show the Duke everything she had been working on in her research facility, and the true reason behind her passion for eating monsters. If you've come this far, please consider liking and subscribing for more videos like this. Thanks.